We're live now.
I'm
just going to talk and do this.
Whole thing.
I'm just going to talk and do this. Just, you know, you're just whatever the cat
to make.
Whatever the cat sees, you're going to see. That's it. We're going to join the life.
Are you joined or no?
Yeah, this is live.
Okay.
This is the life of Pat.
I'm getting rid of this.
This is fun video.
Oh, wait. You just left the call.
No, I didn't leave the call. Oh, yeah, I left the call.
I see a sign here that said Brendan left the call.
Yeah, I left the call, but I'm still in the live stream now.
10-4. Okay, let me close this out.
Remember we were hearing double?
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, that's when I left the call.
Okay, good deal. Now we're live.
I'm alive. Ready to make movie magic?
Let's do it. Okay, so tell me about how it all began.
Oh, I was drunk late one night.
Oh, jeez, this is where it all starts. It always starts with alcohol, doesn't it?
Yeah. Every story starts off great when you're drunk late one night. I feel so exposed right now.
Stories that started it. I guarantee you that you can get some tape over the video, not the mic, but the video over your camera. Oh, I gotta say, listen, you look great. You look really, really good. 40? You're 40, right?
I'm almost 50.
I'm just kidding with you. No, you're not almost 50. Good. No, you're not that. You're not that old. No, you're not. You look great.
I'm way up there. I'm 48.
Are you really? You're 48?
I'm 48 pushing 40 though.
Yeah, exactly. You're 48 pushing in your mid-20s at best.
Yeah, are you talking mental age or physical?
No, I know what you are mentally. It's physically.
So
no, you look
different.
You look
world.
You look great. You look really good.
Yeah, you look gray. I think that's pretty much what you said. That's actually a nice sly move there. You look gray. You look just.
No, I said great, but I will say this. Okay, your gray looks good. My gray looks terrible. My gray is like, oh, poor guy, he's turning gray. You know, it's like you've got it like going on, like some kind of George Clooney deal going on. It's like, damn, dude.
Thanks. I finally got something.
Like, and I say that
it's only taken me 40 years to get something going on.
There you go. But you're embracing it, so that's a good thing.
I am.
You know,
right now, all the girls in college don't think it's this neat. Who's the old man?
How many years have you been married?
21.
20 what?
21.
21. Okay.
21. Yeah. 20. What about you?
Let's see here. 15.
5, 6.
Yeah, 15 years.
15. Wow, it just goes so fast.
Way too fast, man.
It does.
Way too fast. But that's okay.
But that's why we're doing a podcast.
No, my oldest, my youngest one. My oldest is driving.
Wow, my oldest is driving me crazy.
Well, he's been doing that for a while.
He has. So he definitely has. He's a good kid, though.
I'm curious about this. I keep losing you. What's the deal?
I'm just sitting here. Here, I have an idea. I'm on DSL, which could be a big problem. So I'm gonna lock myself in the closet where it's dark. I don't need tape.
Well, no, you don't have to do that. That's off. That's no big deal. It just kind of rolls back. It rolls back.
Do you see it cutting out? What are you just doing? Teasers like that? Are you some stripper or something? You get to see the eyeball this time. Now I lost you. Right in the middle of my joke.
Hangouts is trying to cut away video to the person as the flipping back. Oh, it's like screwing that part up. Like when you see it flipping back between.
No, I don't. I just see a small one on the right. That's me, and then I see a big one. That's you. So here, just turn the video off. Dude, all I see is you, just your chin just straight up in the air now. It's locked.
Oh, you got the. I don't have an eye.
You need your little icon.
Yeah, I hear the cat.
Yeah, that was my stomach. But hey, it's a good microphone.
Okay, exact thing is about you guys. So you've been like smoking all day, and you got you. Listen, I want you to be honest, because the first step in anything is admitting there's a problem. But you've been like you're like, I mean, you're just like roasted right now, aren't you? Munchies, which is why you're just cramming your face full of chips. Isn't that it? Be honest with me. We're friends. How long have we been friends? Can't you just be honest with me?
You know what? It is California, but we're live, and I'm just hungry for chips.
Okay. All right. I'll take that. That's fine.
We'll just, we'll leave it there. We'll just kind of let that hang out there. Put a pin in it.
I don't know if you noticed it, but my hat, the hat that I have, let me see. What is it?
Yeah, it had like a little icon on it last I saw it.
Yeah, you know where that's from? It's the brewery in Orange County, California. You've been there, I'm sure.
I thought it was some kind of cup or something.
No, the little icon thing is a little, I don't know. You probably know if there's a technical name for that, like a little snifter thing for beer. Does that have a certain name for it? It's just called a snifter.
Snifter thing.
Snifter thing?
Snifter thing.
Jeez.
Yeah, I really don't know. Yeah, I like beer. I make cider. That's about it.
You're not like a craft small batch brew?
No. I know the guy who owns the big brewery in town. I know the guy who started a small brewery in the other town. I know a few brewmaster guys, but I'm not him.
Listen, I'm not a huge batch local whatever, but that if there is something, I have to go if that's all I have, and they're not an high alcohol content. But if someone has the sour, which is kind of rare because of the brewing process, I have to go have it. Just amazing. That turned me on. Sours just turned me on. And the first one I had too.
I cannot handle sours at all. Hey, technical note, you're cutting in and out sound wise.
In and out too, which is kind of has me concerned.
So do you want to hang up and do this again?
Well, I don't know what the problem is, be honest with you. I don't know if it's just because other or what.
Well, it shouldn't be. I mean, you should be able to talk over each other if it's live, right?
Some I've done one of these and try to record it. I mean, I don't think the recording has nothing to do with it because I'm not doing anything separate than just it's a live streamed event. Right. But
sounds okay right now. But
I don't know if it. I'm wondering if that's what it is, because we're both trying to go back and forth so quickly, which in the normal case wouldn't be the case. There would be like, okay, I'd say something and then you'd say something, I'd say something, you'd say something. So maybe that's not. Hopefully, I don't think it's I mean, don't think it's it because I'm seeing stuff okay. But this is what this is about, right? This is testing.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think that's it either, because when I don't say a word, you still cut in and out. So here, let's just reconnect. I'm going to hang out and reconnect.
You want me to leave it live? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. Are you there?
Okay, so I'm saying something and in a long sentence right now, and I'm saying words, and I'm reading a sign that says private property, no trespassing. And so does that sound any better?
It's cut out really quick one time. Try your whole sentence again. I'll just, you know what? I'll just talk. I'll talk about my cat. My cat's like a black cat. It's a tuxedo cat. You know, it doesn't really wear a tuxedo, but it looks like it's wearing a tuxedo. You know, it'd be like the James Bond of cats. You know, it's like so sly and so quiet. It sneaks up on you. I mean, if it carried a gun, it could shoot me like 17 times.
Yeah, so you're going in and out too on this. It's
Uh,
real tinny, and then it's kind of like going out.
well, you made me sound so
Smooth
awesome.
conversation. What's that?
I said you made me sound so awesome there. Well, I don't know if I got
Skype
more.
call. Maybe you don't know what?
I'm just wondering if I got other stuff going on my computer that's causing it.
It could be me too. I mean, I think I got. It could
You
just
want
be it, you know. I mean, it
you want
could
a
just be the nature of.
PC?
I've never used this before, so I don't know.
You want a PC? Why do I even ask this? You're on a PC.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably part of the problem.
Oh, are you a Mac person?
Yeah, they're actually pretty good at this kind of
Yes,
stuff.
that is probably the problem. We're supposed to, as part of the PC crowd, we're supposed to disclose that to Mac people. It's supposed to, well, no, because you know, you start doing stuff with them, and then they start realizing your intellectual superiority, and then they feel offended. So you know, we're supposed to kind of go, hey, listen, we're all friends here right off the bat. Let's not get
Well,
offended, you know, just
you know,
because you're lacking in times and this and that, and I got such a cooler phone than you, it's all right. I'm not
it's
going to get
very kind
upset.
of you. It's very kind of you to be humble enough to talk to someone like me. Of
Do you have an iPhone?
course I do.
Oh gosh, drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah,
My
I don't
buddy's
even I
drinking the
don't even
Kool-Aid.
try, and my texts come through on my phone and my iPad and my watch and my emails. I mean, I don't even have to set anything up, and everything works. It's
Yeah,
really
but I
nice.
wouldn't want text on my phone. I get text. I mean, I wouldn't want ad. I
See?
want it on my
You don't
phone.
even know
That's
what you're
it.
talking about. You don't even know what you're talking about. You just opened your mouth, out came ignorance. I mean, it was just like
Oh
watching.
my gosh. You kidding me?
It's like, are you gonna go and say the United States?
What?
Nothing. It was a Trump joke.
Oh jeez. Oh jeez. What was I gonna say? Oh no, you know what? I had the 3S, the 4S, because it was part of my work and they gave it to me for free. Great phone. No, it's a great phone in every single way, shape, and form. It's a great phone. I would have an iPhone and I'd have no problem with that. But the fact is, we're like a Google family.
Hmm.
It doesn't. I don't care about the fact that my devices. That's not a huge deal. But okay, fast forward New Year's Day, and my wife's sitting there and she says, "How do I need to get all my stuff back. My photos all backed up." I said, "Your photos should be backed up. Google Photos. You take a photo, it's backed up to your Google Photo. There's no transferring. There's no nothing. Everything is there and it's stored. And the syncing on the Google side with devices, but so much better than Apple. I mean, so much better than the Apple Cloud and all the stuff that I've worked with them. Even in years since I had an iPhone, I've worked with the Google Cloud and their sync and all that kind of stuff. Nowhere near Apple has. I mean, in my opinion, but you know, who am I to say?
Who are you to say?
But then again, I have a Pixel, fabulous phone,
Is it
fabulous
a
phone.
Pixel 1 or a Pixel 2?
I have the one, and I was a sucker, and my son. I gotta make sure he's coming here. Hold on. Side, my son birthday's in November, and he probably went 2 years without a birthday gift. And he came to me and said, "Dad, can I get the Pixel 2?" And I looked at him, and he probably caught me about 2 beers in. And I said, "Of course, son. I'll get you the Pixel 2." and I bought him the Pixel 2 for his birthday, which was, oh geez, incredible phone though. I mean, incredible phone. I mean,
That's pretty awesome. What's the price point on that?
the Pixel itself, the one I have, is I would never. It's incredible. The phone itself is absolutely incredible, and the Pixel 2 is. I mean, it's not that much better than the Pixel, but it's an upgrade. But it is pretty amazing, and the camera is, well, they say, is the best camera's ever been on a phone, and best cameras I've ever had. But the syncing is the thing for me. I mean, you instantly in the cloud, wherever you go, it's in the cloud. And I can delete it from my phone. I never have to store anything on my phone.
Right.
So the only thing I really ever store on my phone are podcasts. But even then, it's, they're not like, I always get the smallest amount of memory. I don't get a large amount of memory. I don't think that's a big deal. I'd rather have a bigger phone with a smaller amount of memory.
So, where are we with this?
Okay, so how's it sound on your side? Is it sounding good?
Sounds good, but it still cuts out every now and then.
Does it? Okay, well, what I did, I just kind of looked at your bio that was online.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not online, but that's on your site.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had a couple questions. So maybe if we kind of went through a little question back and forth, like a couple questions, excuse me, where you kind of go for a longer period of talking, maybe both of us, then we'll have a better idea in terms of what's going on, sound wise, and then we can make adjustments accordingly.
No, it sounds fine with me. I mean, I'm just using the microphone that's in the computer.
Yeah.
And yeah, go ahead and record it, and then you can listen to it and analyze it. And
Well, there was one thing that I noticed on your bio was that the whole Shakespeare teaching was really brought upon by Charisse. Is that right?
that is
So
correct.
so really, you were forced into it.
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, where I am today is on my own. How I got started uh, was her, and I always tease about it. Basically, I came up with this like silly Hamlet thing I did with her middle school kids, and then a few years later, my son was born, and I really didn't like where I worked. And typically, if I get bored, I just leave. And I said, "Hey, I'm going to take care of my son." So, when newborns at home, I got to watch a lot of movies, and my wife came home one day, and she's like, you do have to make some money. So I signed you up at the local Parks and Rec to teach that Shakespeare class. Have fun. I'm like, you did what? She's like, you start Monday. See ya. I said, and I just kind of stammered there for a second. And so I said, okay, I went, I did it. I had a blast with the kids. It was a 6-week program. At that time, I called it Hamlet in a Can. And what was really cool was at the end of it, the kids came up to me. Literally, they just came up. They're like, "This is awesome. What are we doing next? What are we doing next?" And I was like, "Next, we're doing Midsummer." And I literally went home that weekend and wrote Midsummer. And it went on like that for the next 5 programs that I did. And at the same time of that Hamlet performance, I had a mom come up, and she came up. She said, "Hey, I have a homeschool group. Really like what you're doing here, and we want you to come teach your Hamlet to our kids." I said, "Well, you're a little distance away. I'm not really sure." She's like, "You know, I'm not really asking you. I'm telling you." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And so I ended up teaching up
When
there.
you still there?
Yeah.
I don't know if you cut out, if you're done, or no. But what I'm kind of curious about though is when did, and this is part I don't know either. When did the acting, that little bug, bite you? Because obviously it must have happened a while ago, and because there must have been something that had Charisse go, he's gonna like Shakespeare, because it's lasted for this long. And you obviously have a passion for it that lasted this long. So there must, leading up to it, that had her say this was a good fit, because it obviously has proven the test of time, right? So what was it that
Right.
led into the before then?
Well, that's a good point. I mean, ever since I was a little kid, I liked acting, and kind of being a ham, center of attention. And I did a few Shakespeare things, but I'm in no way a Shakespeare expert. But I did this one soliloquy. It was Bottom's speech in Midsummer Night's Dream in high school, and I did a competition. And it was a few hundred kids, and I took second place. And it's like after a while, I started understanding what it was, and it was just such a blast. It was so much fun. But then I never did much Shakespeare after that, nothing in college, and I would start doing little plays here and there. And I did a little bit more Shakespeare after college. But I've always liked the acting aspect of it, and it's part of the reason I did Toastmasters because I love getting in front of a crowd. I love engaging a crowd and hooking a crowd and really getting them to understand the material I'm presenting. I like speech class in college. I always tell whenever I teach anybody about presentations to their boss, and I always tell them the same thing. I said, look, I don't when you go in front of your peers to give a presentation, I said, you may not realize it, but you're actually on a stage. They're looking at you and you have to engage them. You have to entertain them. You have to, be in that meeting, keep talking, present your material, and have them not look at their watch, have them not look at their phone. And, you have to have material that engages them. Well, it's no different than performing on a stage. So we're going.
So I heard somewhere that in some statistic that the fear of being on a stage and more people than the fear, so there's more people that would rather be in a coffin than there'd rather be people on a stage. What makes you different in that respect?
I have no idea. I definitely would not want to be in a coffin. Um, but you know what it is? It's just, and I really don't get nervous in front of crowds anymore. And, but part of that is really knowing your material. Part of that is knowing the message you're going to present. And if you can really either rehearse it, polish it, or understand the basic bullet points and be educated enough to talk to those, then you should believe in yourself. And that comes down just to the self-confidence. And part of that is just me always doing little bits of theater, doing presentations. I mean, part of it's just practice. That's what I tell parents all the time. Well, part of the reason we put kids on stage is not for them to act per se, but it's for them to get over the fear of being in front of somebody, learn the skill of how to practice something to deliver it effectively. Those are life skills that you can't that they don't really teach you anywhere um, in any location, and that's one of the beauties of theater and drama.
So in this teaching, how much of this really has to do with Shakespeare? Because from what you're telling me, this is a lot bigger than Shakespeare.
Yeah, that's a great point. It is a lot bigger than Shakespeare. I mean, really, my goal is to get kids to love Shakespeare, understand the storyline, have fun with the characters, and really just have fun with drama. That's really my big vision.
How do you get over the kid side of it? And I've said myself, and I've had to have many opportunities in speaking in front of a large group of people, large room of people, boardroom, long table, the whole 9 yards. And I've said myself, I would rather be at the end of a long wooden table in front of a bunch of people in ties than I would in front of a middle school classroom. And here's my reason why. Okay. Extent, even if they're not into what you're saying, they'll pay you respect. Kids, they'll give you about maybe 20 seconds. And if they don't care, guy next to them or the girl next to them, and they'll start talking. Different ball game with kids. So how do you take that same approach and keep kids engaged? Because don't you at some point, how do you get, because isn't that a big part of the challenge?
Yeah, no, you're 100% correct on that. And my preferred range to work with kids is up to about a seventh grade. Um, Somewhere in the middle of seventh grade, eighth grade year, it's they're too good for anybody. Now, what's interesting is when you split that dynamic up between the kids that want to be there and like drama versus the kids that don't. Those kids that want to be there, man, they can flourish. The kids that don't want to be there, and I've taught both types. And if I get the group of middle school or high school kids that want to be there, man, you can perform magic with these kids. If you get the group of kids that you just go in, eighth grade class, half of them don't want to be there, it is tough to hold the audience. It is tough to hold the crowd. There's no doubt there. Um, one of the things I remember, I went in and did this Romeo and Juliet solo show. I go in, I'll do like 5 to 10 minutes with a class, and I'm just engaging with them. I'll pull some of the kids out. They'll play different characters. I'll kill them off. We end up killing the teacher. Everybody loves it, and they all laugh. But one of the things is I remember this one kid kept talking over me, and I'm like, "Oh, someone obviously likes to talk, so you're gonna be perfect. Come on up here. Come on up." And they're like, "Well, I don't want to be up there." I'm like, "You keep talking. You want to be on stage? Come on up." I'm like, "I need someone to play." And it was a guy at the time. I'm like, "I need a Juliet. Come on up." And they're like, "Well, no." I'm like, "You got a choice. You can either, not talk and interrupt, or you can come up and be my Juliet." And I'm cool with either. You choose. And it quieted that one down. And but it's still it gets tough because at that point, sometimes it's not even that they don't respect you; it's that they have an opportunity to be on their own little stage to try to talk over someone and get other people to laugh.
Doesn't Shakespeare offer a little bit more of a challenge because you're dealing with kids and getting them on the stage to break out of their to be able to a different mode that they've never been in before? Isn't another added layer of difficult try to interpret, honestly hard for a lot of adults to be able to interpret? Doesn't that isn't that just is that another unnecessary layer to put on top of it? Or what makes Shakespeare approach?
Well, this approach is, yeah, and I always talk about layering. Any education, no matter what you do, you got to layer it. So one of the nice things about my books is that it's short, 15, 20 minutes. It's melodramatic. It's funny. It's mostly me being funny with about 10% of Shakespeare's lines thrown in. You're going to hear "to be or not to be," "et tu, Brute," "wherefore art thou, Romeo." You're going to hear all the big lines, the famous lines that you hear in life that you don't even realize it. I'm in the process of writing King Lear, and the one of the lines was, the French ambassador comes over and gives, sorry, this king, it's Henry V. One of the French ambassador comes over and he gives Henry tennis balls as an insult. And literally one of the lines he wrote was, "Here's tennis balls." And I was like, that's got to be wrong. Tennis balls? But sure enough, Shakespeare's writing about tennis balls. And I'm like, holy cow. It was a lot more common than we realized, just the language and the words that he used that we use today still.
So
And so, well, to answer your question, mine is just have fun. And if you can understand the basic storyline and the characters, that's half the battle. And a lot of times kids, once they understand the basic storyline, are like, this is a cool story. They start diving into the text themselves to find out what's really written there. And it puts more context behind when they go in and read the actual text. And honestly, reading the text in class, I mean, typically most kids get it between ninth and 12th grade. They're just given text to go, and they start reading in class. They have no clue, no understanding. There'll be a couple, two, three, five, maybe out of a class of 30 that'll kind of get it. But on most of them, they don't. They hate it. I'm on Twitter all the time, and one of the keywords I always look up is teach and Shakespeare because I'm trying to engage new teachers and in teaching Shakespeare. But one of the things that comes up all the time are teenagers tweeting about, "I hate it when they're teaching me Shakespeare, blah blah blah. I wish they'd just teach me, Eminem instead," or something like that. And it's like, these kids hate Shakespeare because they weren't delivered Shakespeare appropriately at the right age. And if you can get kids when they're younger to really like Shakespeare, when they actually have to do the entire text in class, they have so much more going for them because one, they have a positive attitude. And a positive attitude can take you so far. And if you just start with that alone, they're going to be fine.
So does the challenge in interpreting offer you more latitude? Let me rephrase that. Does the challenge in the content, in the content itself, the verbiage or the language, does that offer you more latitude within the interpretation?
Um, yes and no. I mean, I try to stick to the storyline as close as possible. There's some pieces of the storyline that are still just not appropriate. That we got to,
Like
kind of.
what? What's a sample of something? What's an example of something that's just not appropriate?
I did Three Musketeers for Kids, um,
In what ways?
and
Tell a guy that doesn't know the story. I read yours, but tell me like what about that story? Something like, oh,
well,
this is not.
basically in Three Musketeers for Kids, um, the D'Artagnan, he goes after um, the wife of the husband he tried to protect at first. So he goes and has an affair with her, and then he goes after another girl and has an affair with her. And having affairs in a story that's, I'm designing for fourth to eighth graders is not really context that I find appropriate to deliver through my story. So I tweak it, I modify it. And part of like what I'll do is I'll watch like every single Three Musketeers movie ever made, and I'll look at see how they modified it. And by the way, the Gene Kelly version from I think 1948 was the best by far. That guy is amazing. Um, Tangent, sorry, but it's they all have their own tweaks and how they do it. And another one is like in Three Musketeers is also this example when Alexandre Dumas wrote that story. I mean, that thing is at least a two, if not a three-part trilogy. It's easily a two-part story, but he made it all one book. So it's too much for one text per se that would be a play that I did. So I truncated some aspects of it. But the part of the reason he did that was because he got paid by the word, he got paid by chapters. So it was kind of like he would write a chapter, put it out there, and if he hooked people, you wanted to read the next chapter, they'd keep buying it. It was a periodical subscription, and that's how he maintained his story, and that's how he made his money.
When you write
And for, yeah,
when you write yours, you keep yourself to a particular word count, correct?
absolutely,
So
absolutely. Every single
so
story is
what's the philosophy behind that?
I've learned if I'm going to teach the class in a 6 to 8 week class for an hour and a half each day, I've learned the amount of text that's appropriate for a group of 8 to 15 kids. So at that age, that they can um, digest it, remember it, and be able to perform it with everything else they have going on in their life. I mean, kids today, they're scheduled out to the hilt. And so getting them to spend time to memorize lines becomes challenging. And so I keep word count to a certain level so the performances only run a certain amount of minutes. So the word count that I do gives me a maximum of 25-minute performance. And then each of my books has three parts to it. So there's a small cast, middle cast, and a big cast, and there's double up and rolls. So if you have anywhere between, some plays have as little as 5 kids that you can do, but every play is different because each play is unique. But if you have 5 to 8 kids, you can do a small performance. If you have 20, you can do a big performance. Every single number in between because I made it easy to double up roles.
And you said that you target four to six graders,
Fourth to
fourth to
eighth
sixth
graders.
grade, fourth through eighth
Eighth.
graders.
Well,
That's a pretty wide range, isn't it? I mean, fourth grade to eighth grade. I mean, just emotionally and everything.
no,
There's a lot going on there.
you're 100% right. There is a ton going on there. But what's interesting is my books have been used from K through 12 in different facets. As a K, I've had a teacher, she'll just read, and she only does this with Midsummer, but she'll read it as like story time because Midsummer is kings, queens, fairies, magic. It's a really cool, fun story. And when she reads it and just tells the story, kids like it, they engage. I've seen a school for first graders perform my Hamlet, which I would never advise anyone ever doing, but I've seen it done. And then, and so some teachers are like, they'll start them really young. Some teachers, and we'll do it later. Some teachers, I'm working on a high school version now that basically combines, 4 plays. I had a teacher in Anaheim. She took 7 of my plays and did a high school performance, like, 8 nights in a row. And she just made this one huge production out of it. And it taught them so much about all the different stories of Shakespeare. Audience loved it. It was funny. And the older kids really know how to start being melodramatic. So it's
So how would you
amazing.
define a success?
Oh, success of what?
In terms of how your plays, is that the right thing to say? How your plays or your interpretations are applied. When you look at it, has there been a time where you looked at it and you said, you know what? Bingo. That made the effect. That got to where I wanted to get to. That had the effect that I wanted to have. Have you seen that where it's like, okay, that did what I wanted it to do?
Are you talking when I'm writing a book, getting ready to publish it, or are you talking
No, when
about?
you see a performance.
Oh, anytime there's a performance is successful. What's successful is not the performance itself. The success is when I hear back from the teachers, when I hear back from the kids, when they go and do another set of plays of mine later, because obviously they enjoyed the first one. Um, when I receive an envelope with 60 different notes in it saying, "Thank you, Mr. Kelso, for what you did." When I get emails from teachers, and photos on Instagram from classes. I mean, all those things, that's success to me. I open the world up for kids to smile and have fun with Shakespeare. And when you actually start reading the actual text of Shakespeare, the words that he's presented in our language and the way he describes things and I mean just the other day I was just in King Lear, that's he writes nothing will become of nothing. And it's like it's so true. It's like if you don't, Wayne Gretzky once said, you miss all the shots you don't take. Well, yeah, I could take that all the way back to Shakespeare, going, nothing becomes of nothing. So if you do nothing, you're going to get nothing. So you better start trying.
So this
And
was this was impetus for your motivation for writing a 12-part series on why drama is important.
that actually, that one came because I had teachers tell me their principals were pulling funding for drama and they didn't know what to do. And if you think about it, I mean, drama teachers are English teachers, they're artistic people. I'm an engineer by trade, so I'm a lot more strategic. And so, what I wanted to do was give them kind of ammo to say, here, look, look at this. This is why we do it. A lot of them know the reason why, but it's harder to articulate. And when you start, I've just been, now that I've done, I've performed well over 100 or 150 of my plays over the last number of years. Um, and the more parents I talk to and the more teachers I hear from, it's like the more things like start clicking. And once I started thinking about this 12-part series, the piece that really kind of, like just resonated to me was just listening to parents and why they're doing it with their kids. I mean, I had one mom the other day, actually, it was a year and a half ago, not the other day, but she said the whole reason I have her in here is because I want her to understand language more. Comprehension's hard for her. And so she's doing it because it's the repetition. When you keep reading the same lines and studying the same story again and again and again, you really start to absorb the story. And then you kinesthetically learn it because you're physically out there acting it out. And it's proven time and again, data wise, that if you can physically act something out versus just talk about it, you're going to remember it like 98% more or something even more than that. I don't know the exact numbers, but um, it's kinesthetic learning is way stronger than just textual learning.
But honestly, okay, the demands on kids now, I mean, you're a dad, I'm a dad, okay? We know that the demands on kids are increasing every single day, okay? The realm at which they can pull from of knowledge and the means at which they can receive it from is growing exponentially. So, yeah, budgets are being cut, but athletic budgets are being cut. All different kinds of budgets are being cut because of the strain on the time. So, why drama? if it's a matter of time and putting kids in front of a classroom and getting, instructions on the math and the English and the science and all that kind of stuff, what's so important? It's not just drama. What's so important about drama to make sure that the kids are exposed to such?
Well, because it's more than just math and science. I mean, I've always said that if you can put the smartest kid in the class, if they're brilliant at math and science, and I'm not putting down math and science whatsoever, but if they're brilliant at math and science, but they're not good with people or being in front of people, and you put them in an interview, and then you put someone who's not good at math or science in an interview in front of people that are good, that's a good people person, they'll blow that interview away left and right. It's a skill that is also part of the breadth of growing up as a person. So you learn your math, you learn your science, you learn your English, but then you also learn your presentation. You also learn um, about different language skills. I mean, it's interesting. It's drama is different for every single person. I mean, you can get so many different things out of it because you can work on teamwork. I mean, if you really want to put on a production, you need a director, you need a stage manager, you need someone who's good at art, you need someone who's good at cosmetology, you need actors that are good at getting on stage, you need someone who's good with lighting, so you need engineering. I mean, you have so many different aspects that go into building a team. So it's team building. It's everybody. The show can only go on if everybody does their part. If you want to learn language, I mean, there's no better way to in-depthly study any type of genre. Or, I mean, you look at Jungle Book, like Jungle Book for kids. If you want to start studying India and learning about theirs, is a great jumping off point to learn about that. Three Musketeers is French. Richard III is English. Macbeth is Scottish. You can jump off any which way and learn about different genres to complement education. I mean, in reality, if you put education, you mix it all in together with drama, your kids will be so much stronger. I mean, let's just say science and drama. There's a study done, I think it was in 2016, and it basically talked about integrating drama into the science class, and they talked about a water molecule. They just line a bunch of kids up and they link their arms together, and then the next thing you know, somebody came out and they were the Arctic wind and they blew on them, and everybody pulled together tight. And then the global warming or Santa Ana winds, they came and blew on the water molecules, and they all loosened up and they spread apart. They did a physical, dramatic representation of a water molecule when it's being heated. Basically the thermodynamics of the fluid there, and you now have a way to kinesthetically learn it and remember it. So you just integrated drama into science and made science A, more fun, B, more memorable.
So this is all very tangible when I'm seeing a lot of kids and they're interacting online, they're interacting in social aspects, but they're technologically social aspects, not face to face. This is something that's much more tangible, much more face to face, much more, I can put my hands on it and I can see it happening in front of me, as opposed to a lot of ways in which a lot of the kids are communicating.
Yeah, and one other thing it really teaches you that's actually very important is empathy. There's nothing like playing a part that's not you, it's somebody else, and you have to get into their emotional state. You have to understand why they are saying what they're saying, why they're doing what they're doing, and it's completely different than you. And so it teaches you empathy to feel what other people are feeling, and it's a skill that, frankly, is going away because our social is not face to face anymore. It's screen to screen.
When you say that, though, empathy is going away, what do you mean by that?
I just mean the practice of it. It's interesting. I saw this thing on Good Morning America or some show this morning, and one of the things that it said is, good parenting is let your kids figure out the disputes themselves. And it just really made me think. It's like, the nowadays we do so many things to keep kids from arguing with each other, and we'll put video games in front of them, iPads. Well, Honda even makes a minivan that if the kids are arguing, it'll move their seats apart in the back seat so they don't hit each other. But the skill set they're really not learning is how to work out these disputes. I mean, If they're spending all this time in front of a screen, when do they ever learn how to figure out these simple dynamics? And if they can't figure out the simple dynamics now, when they become managers, they don't know how to work on the bigger dynamics when the human emotions come in. So the person who is able to figure out these human emotions, they're going to be prized way more than anybody else in the working world. I mean, think
Mhm.
about it. 25 years ago, the nerd was rare, the geek was rare, and he was a rare commodity. And if you found a good one, man, you paid a lot for him. But everybody played together, everybody was on the playground, nothing distracted us that way. Now it's completely flipped. Everybody can program coming up. Everybody can do that. I mean, finding a geek is, you find them, anybody can be a geek because it's so easy to learn how to program nowadays. But the person who can actually interact and socialize with all sorts of different people on different levels, that's a much harder skill to find nowadays. And so that becomes a much more rare component as this generation grows up.
So I'm breaking one of my own rules, but I'm going to ask you, how many books do you have total?
I got 16 books and I'm launching one in 3 days, 2 days, maybe tonight.
What are you launching tonight?
Pride and Prejudice.
Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah. And then I have King Lear and Henry V, both on the edge. They'll be out within 60 days.
So your goal you said before was like how many per month? Like one every 3 months or three a month
It's
or
roughly 2 to 4 a year. I mean, it all depends what's going on. One of my co-authors, she went and had a kid, so that slows things down. And I'm a foster parent, so that slows things down. So there's just different reasons why, but I try to get all my authors, and I have right now three co-authors, and I'm bringing on a fourth. So there's five of us writing. Um, we do one book a year, and right now, the books in the dockets that we have, Pride and Prejudice is coming out the next day or two. King Lear and Henry V will literally be right behind each other. And then over the summer is going to be Beowulf and Frankenstein. Those are the next two that we're aiming for.
cool. You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Hey, dude, I got to run though.
That was good, man. I think I'm good. I got what I need. Probably.
Okay. Listen to it. I think it cut out once or twice.
Oh no, you know
To it.
what? Especially lately, and I don't know what it was because I don't know. There's obviously interference. I was moving my phone around. I was doing a couple things to see. I heard like you got like a text beep, and it kind of went a little screwy there. So I don't know if maybe interference going on, maybe on my side. I don't know, but there'll be some.
I think part of it is
Honestly,
farther from my Wi-Fi tower because I'm going to be changing that here in the next day or two. But hey, dude, I got to run now.
all right, man. Talk to
All
you
right.
soon.
See you, buddy.
Later.